Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
Oh my God.
The gloves are coming off.
I can't. The starters should look like this. I can't. Oh my God. All right. And 1, 2, 3. And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast, or Turn Off the Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle, and Ryan is RHOLM22. The Steelers 23, the Raiders 18. Sunday Night Football for the entire nation to see. Josh McDaniels and his Las Vegas Raiders just really kind of just, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words right now. I just think the one thing that, like, I don't seek validation a lot. I go into a lot of Twitter spaces. It can be tough. It can be whatever. But when people continuously tell me that, like, the let Ziegler cook stuff, let me, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, to give them time, do this, do that. And then you put on a performance like this and you let a guy who is probably one of the most, like, piss poor quarterbacks in the National Football League, like, actually look good. You have 7 points going into the fourth quarter, like, all this stuff like that. It's just, I mean, it's just horrible to sit there and watch this. But I mean, Ryan, I'm sure you have some words of wisdom, but this is the low. I mean, of this, I mean, you know what? Hey, listen, at least Gruden and Mayock made it spicy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't fall off until late November, and then they would fall apart. But this like, with the quarterback class that's coming out and the Chargers resurrecting their season, you know they're going to be pumped to win that game. The Raiders have never won a game in SoFi. Like, this is gonna look really ugly, especially when you go out there and get a quarterback who's throwing 3 picks. I mean, just on and on. Ryan, save me.
I can't. I just want to start with a math lesson. The only thing, when McDaniels down 8, which we all know is a touchdown and 2-point conversion.
How much time left?
It was like 3.5 minutes left. It was 4th and inches. Then it was 4th and 6, and decided, you know what? I'm going to kick this field goal.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are we doing? You still need a touchdown. Like, it's still a long shot at that point. Davante Adams was eating. And luckily the Steelers bailed out Josh McDaniels. And I thought, okay, here we go. We're going to get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. They were taking their time, but I'm like, we need to pick it up because you still need to get the ball back, even if you tie it or you don't get the 2-point conversion. When you get inside the 10-yard line in the National Football League with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, down 8, you go for it. Yeah. It's 4th and 4 at the 8-yard line. It's not 4th and 15 at the 20. You have Davante Adams. I don't even know his numbers in front of me. He probably had 13, 14 catches for 180 yards, something like that.
13 catches, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And you kick the field goal with the defense that you have.
Yeah.
That has gotten off the field at times against the Steelers. But they're not good against the run. And you knew the Steelers would do that, would run the football. And basically, to me, what I saw was Josh McDaniels saying, I don't trust my offense. I also don't want to take some blame here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this on Patrick Graham. So if he doesn't get off the field, I can point the finger at Patrick Graham. But at the end of the day, this team is built around the offense. All the money, all the investments, all the free agents, all the trades, all the draft picks are on the offensive side of the ball. You cannot go 3 straight weeks and not score more than 18 points. That is unacceptable. The Steelers were the worst run defense in the league, but we just saw that the Bills give up 173 yards and come out and stifle the Raiders. So Josh McDaniels can't get this offense off the ground. Imagine where they'd be without Davante Adams. And it's funny to say that because Davante Adams and Jacoby Myers have been pretty good this year between the two of them. And this team still can't get out of its own way. But They want to talk about draft picks and building this thing. The draft. I'm just going to read you their draft class for the last 2 years. Tell me who in these draft classes is providing any sort of investment return. I'm going to start right here with Dylan Parham. He's gone backwards. Dylan Parham has regressed this year. Not as good as he was last year, and he struggled in the second half of last year. He's a below average NFL guard at this point. Zamir White doesn't even see the field. Neil Farrell's on the Kansas City Chiefs. Matthew Butler's on the practice squad. Thayer Mumford is a jumbo tight end in extra sets. Britton Brown's on IR and played like 2 games last year. I'm going to go to this year. Tyree Wilson, I know he was sick. He was the 7th pick in the draft. I don't need people to tweet at me. Give him time. He was injured. You took a defensive end in the top 10 with a broken foot who didn't test and had a long way to go. This regime, this team did not need to wait on a player for 2 or 3 years. They needed impact now. You cannot miss on that pick when there was better players on the board at that point. Michael Mayer was actually active today. I know I tweeted or texted you that he caught the 2-point conversion. I had no idea he was active. Like, they actually threw him the ball. So there's no return there. Byron Young's not getting talked about at all because Tyree Wilson's been so bad, but Byron Young's doing nothing. Trey Tucker was on the field today. They didn't give him the ball once. Jacorian Bennett, as good of a camp as he hasn't been good for the first 3 weeks other than a couple of tackles in the opener. Aiden O'Connell doesn't play. Chris Smith, Bernie, and Silvera have provided nothing. So I just went through their draft class for 2 years. They're literally getting nothing other than Dylan Parham out of 2 draft classes.
So I'm going to do a thing I thought about the other day, is the fact that as bad as Mayock and Gruden were, like, you talk about where this team would be without Devontae Adams. Like, they didn't bring in anybody who's functionally better than, like, Colton Miller, like Andre James, Max Crosby. They can't find him a counterpart to play with. They can't find. I mean, they're using Divine Diablo a lot. That's from a previous regime. Trayvon Morig, like, it's just Nate Hobbs is an integral part of this team. Like, they're just not. They have not brought in even and like you mentioned the draft class. If we went through free agency, it would even be. I mean, we don't
even talk about Bilal Nichols because Chandler Jones has been such a disaster.
Yes, I mean, Chandler Jones not with the team right now. Bilal Nichols, Robert Spillane is not reminding anybody of Ray Lewis. Like, I mean, it's just so many. Like, this is. I said it once. I said it 1,000 times. Okay, and I knew that we were in trouble when they gave Derek Carr a guaranteed contract. I was like, sorry, no trade clause. When they gave him the no trade clause, I was like, there's a GM in the National Football League that actually gave Derek Carr a no trade clause, which ruined your flexibility with him, which ruined everything you want, everything you could have did with that position. And, like, it's just amateur hour. It's a guy who has been in the league for a long time, and instead of going out and getting an experienced, like, really good young GM, what he brought his best friend. And this ain't a keg stand at John Carroll. This is like real life football. And people and you want to charge people $100 to go park? Like, nah, yo. Nah, this ain't it. I know what good football looks like, and this ain't it.
Al Davis would have fired Josh McDaniels the minute that game ended after that decision tonight. Yeah. And Mark Davis won't do it. I've been trying to give Ziegler and McDaniels the benefit of the doubt for 20 games. Yeah. And when he couldn't do math tonight, I'm done. Like, yes. I'm ready. I need a change.
Yes.
I know the Raiders need stability. I know they need some continuity in their draft classes and their schemes. But 20 games is enough to tell you that Patrick Graham's not going to turn it around. No. And this offense has gone completely backwards since about week 5 or 6 of last season. I mean, Josh McDaniels has shown you, outside of the Jared Stidham game against the 49ers, in the last 2 months of last season and the first 3 games of this season, this offense can't get out of its own way. So that's on McDaniels. The fact that defense can't really – they don't have a ton to work with over there, but that was by design. The front office didn't do anything to help them. But Patrick Graham hasn't done anything to help himself. So
I'll say this too. Go. Continue.
And Jimmy G, as much as I wanted to get behind Jimmy G, you can't throw 6 interceptions in 3 weeks. He was his handpicked quarterback. Yeah. and I was on board with letting Derek Carr go. It was 9 years. I was ready for a change, but you can't let him walk out the door with no compensation and then have this walk through the door and throw 6
Exactly.
interceptions. If Jimmy G's out there not throwing interceptions and completing 65% of his passes with a couple of touchdowns a game and an occasional turnover, completely understandable for what you're paying him.
Yep.
But as a veteran that's in his 30s, that's been in this league for a long time, he can't turn the ball over at the rate he is, especially with this defense. And then you see him, and I know they kept showing the end zone cam during the game tonight, and Hunter Renfrow would run right across the screen, and there'd be no one on him. And he's throwing the ball down the field or immediately looking into the flat for a running back and just completely ignoring Hunter Renfrow. So at some point, it's on Josh McDaniels to call up a play where Hunter Renfrow is actually the primary read. It's up to him to get plays where the ball goes to Michael Mayer or Austin Hooper. It's up to him to throw some more screens. I don't remember them throwing a screen to a running back tonight.
That was
It's
supposed to
up
be
to him.
supposed to be part of the whole
It's up to
thing.
him to get all these guys involved. It's basically Jimmy going to Adams, which is perfectly fine, but you have to throw the ball to other guys too. And let's be honest, Devontae Adams cooked Levi Wallace tonight, but at some point you need other guys to get involved because Jimmy's looking there, and then if that's not there, then he's kind of panicking. The pass protection wasn't great tonight, but the plan wasn't great either. They were leaving the Luminor 1-on-1 with TJ Watt all night.
That's crazy. I don't know a lot of birdies, but I know a couple of birdies in the college game and in the pro game. And it's one thing to lose your locker room with the players, but he lost it with the coaches too, because by him not doing that math at the game, he literally just said, I'm putting the game blame on the defensive coordinator. Like that's what he did in that situation. You can't do that. Like if you play Madden, you can't do that because even if they stop you, they're at the 8-yard line.
They're at the 8-yard line. You're going to get the ball back at midfield.
You're getting the ball back at midfield. They're going to be super duper conservative. You have 3 timeouts, cousin. So you can't count to 8 and you can't count to 3. Like how could you be like? I mean, I know Ryan got all the math degrees in the world, but like like you gotta be able to do simple. I have 3 timeouts. If I don't get this, I have 3 timeouts. Like and a 2-minute warning. Like you know what I mean? Because like I think it was like 2 minutes and 52 seconds, and they left in the game when that happened. Like you can't you have everything it says go for it. If you the only thing you don't want to do is turn it over. You tell Jimmy, listen. Even if like give Devontae a chance, give Renfrow a chance, give the receiver a chance, but don't throw a pick here because we could still come back and tie the game. Like you'd make that play, you kick that field goal with like 7 minutes left in the game, like 8 minutes left in the game, maybe. Like but like this defense is not a great defense, and you put them back on the field, like and of course, in true Raider fashion, they
didn't even cover the guy.
They build it on 3rd down, and there's nobody within 55 million yards of a wide open receiver who only needs 2 yards for a 1st down. Nobody does it better. Nobody does it better than the Raiders. Nobody does it better.
I got a few friends that are Steelers fans, and they're still texting me right now. Like my phone's blowing up at how bad decision making Josh McDaniels was making. Is as much as we like to harp on Brandon Staley, and I tweeted this out. Josh McDaniels just did the anti-Brandon Staley. Like he needed to be aggressive there, especially with the defense he has, and all the money on this team is on the offensive side of the ball. They need to score touchdowns, and I watched the Chargers game today. Justin Herbert completed 40 passes in that game. Keenan Allen had 15 catches for like 215 yards. There's a lot better quarterback going to be playing on the other side of the ball than Kenny Pickett next week, and the pressure's on because this team. If they're in their winnable stretch of games right now, if they can't find a way to win 2 of the next 3 games and they start going into the middle of the season at 2-5, this thing's over for this season. And we weren't expecting a playoff team, but we were expecting some confidence from the coaching staff. We were sold on this innovative offense that would be able to be multiple and spread them out and run the ball and do all these different things based on the opponent. We haven't seen any of that. They didn't really do that today that we talked about on the preview show. We haven't seen situational awareness, which is what we were sold that happened. And you saw the Patriots do it for years. Like Josh McDaniels just completely forgot how to coach football the minute he left New England. Tom Brady should be sitting front row or every coach that coached for the Patriots while Brady was there should be sitting front row at his Hall of Fame speech,
Yeah.
because he got all these guys jobs and all these contracts. And Dave Ziegler, as much as we want to make fun of Gruden and Mayock, what has he done that's been better other
Yeah.
than Adams? And Adams only came because Derek Carr was there. It had nothing to do with Ziegler. If Derek Carr was playing on the Saints, Devontae Adams would be on the Saints right now. It had nothing to do with Ziegler and McDaniel.
Yeah. The thing about the whole like, and I'm calling BS on his like the innovative change the offensive thing every week is you have to go into it now, I believe, with a identity offensively. When I watch Ben Johnson call plays for the Lions, they're all gonna be it's all really mushed together. They do whatever they gotta do as far as their real tight formations. They do what they make it very clean for Jared Goff, and they have an identity. I watched Mike McDaniel, 70 points. Like his thing
The
is
Raiders hired the wrong McDaniel.
exactly. And I'm telling you, and he literally had speed personified on his thing is speed. He wants to have speed on the field. Everybody can run the football and take it to the house on any given play. They have an identity. They don't have an offensive identity here. He wants even late in the game. You texted me like, does he know what the score is? Like he's wasting time running the football up the middle. Like you're not going to catch them sleeping and get a big run. Like you have to throw the football in this spot. And this is the spot we were talking about with Jimmy G. Like when you're down by 2 scores, can Jimmy G function? And he clearly can't function. But that's your quarterback, though.
Yeah, I think I texted you at one point. It feels like I'm watching football in 1996. Like onside kicks don't exist anymore. Like when you get into the fourth quarter and you're down multiple scores, it's got to be no huddle. You got to go. And these coaches are so scared to turn the ball over or do something and lose the game at the 8-minute mark instead of push the throttle and try to catch up and give your team a chance, that they're not giving themselves a chance on the back end anyways. But they can pat themselves on the back and say, hey, I lost 23-18. It was a 1-score game.
It's
Marcus Peters picks
close.
us off. We cover that guy. But at some point when you're in the game, you have to coach to win that game. And I don't feel like at any point during that game tonight in the fourth quarter, Josh McDaniels coached to win that game.
No. Let's see here. Looking at some other stats real quick here. But yeah, it's just not. I mean, it doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. It just doesn't in every way. It doesn't work. And like you have people out there, and I feel 98 and 17 are just working so hard. Like your heart. I mean, like yes, they're millionaires and their life is set, whatever. But even that being said,
Even 8, he's getting beat up before he gets a handoff.
exactly. And like and like, and none of these guys are like. I mean, these guys are like really like Crosby and Adams are on their way to the Hall of Fame, like the way they're playing, and like you're sitting there watching them just like give everything they have to be surrounded by incompetence, and like they just deserve better. I mean, they have to. They deserve better. The people who paid who drove from my area or your area to go to Vegas today, who paid $200 for parking, they deserve better. Like this is not. This is just like I think it's a song we've been singing for a long time, and it may be. I mean, you text me like, why can't we have nice things? I don't know, but but I don't understand. Like you have 30 years of experience. You should have a guy, a simple you should have a dude on the team, a dude on the team who just specializes in this moment. You have 25 billion coaches. Like have a guy who says like we should hey coach, we should go for this. Even in that moment, if you call a timeout, you still would have had 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. Like you just cannot function and be like if you can't functionally be arrogant as he is and try to be the tough guy that he tries to be, and then in that moment when you had to really go for it, you come up short and do what you did in this game. Just can't do it.
I think part of it too is I haven't seen this team come out in these first 3 games ready to play. And that's something we saw last year where they would jump out to some leads and they blew some leads. But we're seeing a team that looks half as prepared as the team last year did, at least in the first half of these games, and they're falling behind and they don't have the ability to be a quick strike offense, even with Devontae Adams at this point. And that's the concerning thing for me is we're watching a team that goes out there and I mean, just go back to the Broncos game. It was a win. We'll take a division win. That Broncos team gave up 35 to the Commanders and gave up a 70 burger today. And the Raiders kicked and clawed for 17 points. So Josh McDaniels is to me, I've always said he's probably getting a third year, but if this is the product that they keep trotting out there, you can't give him a third year. You just can't do it.
You can't, dude. You can't give him a third year. You can't give him a
Because
third
this
year. You can't. You can't do it.
Well, and they just redid Jimmy G's deal, so Jimmy G's going to be here next year because unless they want to eat the cap money on that, so you're seeing some contracts they gave to Chandler Jones that Jimmy G they're going to start hamstringing this team over the next couple of years.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Even when they get let go,
yeah,
like the new whoever comes in, but the Raiders, if this season continues to go off the rails as it is, they have to seriously look at drafting a quarterback in the top 10 of the first round and take a shot. And I know that the defense isn't there, and I know that, but like the way to win in this league is to get that young quarterback. And the Raiders have never had that. And
yeah.
bless Aiden O'Connell's heart, he's not going to be able to compete with the upper echelon quarterbacks in this league at the level you need to win a Super Bowl, which is what the Raiders should be aspiring to do. Obviously, you have to get the playoffs first. But if you're going to make that change, and I tweeted this last year, the day they signed Jimmy Garoppolo is you better take a quarterback in the first round to back that up. Because Jimmy G is a stopgap quarterback. And we all knew that. And he's showing that now. He's actually playing worse than you would hope out of a stopgap quarterback. I thought Andy Dalton played a pretty decent game today for the Panthers.
Yeah.
But what you can't have is you can't have this regime make that pick and have year 3 go off the rails with a rookie quarterback and then blow it up then. Mark Davis needs to make the decision. If this thing goes south and we need to take a quarterback, you have to start fresh at all 3 levels.
You cannot give them that. You cannot. They do not deserve. If this thing goes off the rails, they do not deserve to get the right to pick the next quarterback. It has to be somebody else, whoever it is, however it goes. They should that has to happen. I mean that would blow people's mind if they win 3 games this year and then you end up doing that. And I'm just watching like the free flowingness of other teams' offenses. Like I'm just watching the Dobbs play for the Cardinals. 2 weeks in a row, scored 28 points a game, and they just score. I mean, Dallas is just as good a defense as the Steelers. I mean,
they have a better defense.
Micah Parsons. I mean, Parsons is an absolute beast. Like, how could you not? I mean, he's tough to watch, man. He's tough to watch. I mean, that is just the slowness. It's like he wants to call all these plays. Like the idea is like once in a while, even the Steelers in this game scored like on a 2-play drive on the deep pass to Austin. Like you got to be able to score with some quick strike ability, and they just don't do it. I mean, it's just gross. It's gross.
We were sold a bad bill of goods. This offense was supposed to be built around the slot receivers. That's what they did in New England for years. They're not using Renfrow. Even if you don't want to use Renfrow, put Adams in. Like, open it up. We talked about on the previous show, like, spread it out. Put 5 guys out. Get the ball in and out of the hands so the defensive line can't get there. Put the running backs out wide so you can dictate the coverages. They did a little bit on the opening drive, but they went 3 and out. But they went away from that quick. And I don't know what the identity of this offense is.
We don't have one.
I don't. And you're 3 games in, and you have Devontae Adams, you have Josh Jacobs, you have a veteran quarterback that you brought in, you have Jacoby Myers, you have Hunter Renfrow. There's no identity right now.
I think also too with Josh McDaniels is it's the rush. I call it the rush to rush. Like he can't wait to run the football. Like even when I think they had the it was like one of the drives where they had him spread out. He had like a 7-yard completion, and then he went back and ran the football immediately. Like, dude, get to the line. Throw something quick again. Like it's okay to throw a couple passes for the game when you're not down by 16 points. It's okay to throw the ball a couple times in a row. Like I mean, it's not. I mean, like you know, it is what it is. Also, I mean, like this is, like, Jimmy is making some. If you're gonna have this guy make rookie mistakes like that, you might as well just play AOC. Like if he's gonna just fade to the fade to the right, and off his back foot, float one to the sideline. Like, I mean, like that one. I mean, if you're gonna do that, then what are you paying? What are you paying? And it's you paid for this now. You used Mark Davis's money to pay for this. And he was one of the first free agents off the board. Him going to the Raiders. We had a whole foot thing going on, whatever. And now he's playing this way. Like that's dude. Like he wants a non-dynamic quarterback. Like in a league where that is dominated by not by dynamic quarterbacks, the Josh Allens, the Burrows, the Mahomeses. Those are the guys who people want and people covet. Like nobody wants the guy who is just a pocket passer. Who if he's a pocket passer, you better be Dan Marino. And if he's not, then you got to go out there and make some and get a guy who can make. Even Kenny Pickett today made some plays with his feet. Like it's just oh god. It just, you can go, I don't know. I want to be wrong. But I can't like sit there and like lie and say when I see something, I've been talking about this for a long time. I don't like this regime. I said when they made the move to Devontae, they got Chandler Jones. I was like, okay, we're good. That's good. And then when I saw that they made the deal with Carr and it was no trade clause, I was like, whoa, what are we doing? And they basically traded everybody away. They kept Renfro for some reason. I don't know. This is gonna be a tough week to kind of not answer questions. And I hope the Raider media actually asked them the question about the math and force them to kind of answer these questions, because that's just bad football in every sense of the word.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why they drafted Michael Mayer and Trey Tucker and why they spent top picks on Byron Young, and like they're not even using them.
They don't target them.
Were they like, you know what, we're gonna run it back in 2023 with Austin Hooper and Hunter Renfrow. We're just not gonna use them because in 2024 I'm gonna have these guys in the system for you so I can throw them out there. Like, what are we doing? Like you don't have that much time. Like, this is your second go around. When Josh McDaniels gets fired from the Raiders, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say when, because it's going to happen. If not this year, next year. That's it. He's done being a head coach in the National Football League. Like, guys get these positions, and it's mind blowing the decisions that they're making over and over and over again. And when you can't math, you can't coach. So if you can't math, get off the sideline.
And I think it really is. It's not that he doesn't know football. It isn't that he is an idiot. He just
no.
There's some people, and but it's really some people feel pressure in the moment, and they don't know how to handle it. Like some people are like, that's Bill Walsh. He's probably like, okay, yeah, X45, 24, X5, back flat, go. All right, good, touchdown. All right, good. You know what I mean? Like he sees it. He knows what play it is. Parcells, like they see it, they know it, they're good. Belichick to a certain extent. Like all these guys, they kind of see it and they can make and they have like some guys just get really flustered and nervous in that moment, and maybe that's why he wears 10 layers on the sidelines. I don't know, like because he want to show any pits sweating or whatever. But like I think that's what really happens to people who fail as head coaches. Like they don't. It's just they don't understand how to handle those moments. And today was a big moment for him to fail there. And I think
that was on national TV.
National TV. So now tomorrow, if it happened in the 1 o'clock window, 4 o'clock window, it's all good. But now you got Stephen A. Smith talking about it. You got Skip Bayless talking about it, and then you got people calling Mark Davis, saying, "Hey, Mark, what's going on with this dude, What's going on with this dude? Are you sure about this? Josh McDaniels, dude? He can't do simple math? Nah, man. It's just
he didn't do math. He did not do math once. He did not do math twice. That's what gets me. Like the first time, okay, it was 4th and 6. There was over 3 minutes left. You had 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Okay, maybe, but you took another minute and a half off the clock. And you did it again. And the Raiders don't have the defense to be able to play these tight, low-scoring games, these games in the high teens or low 20s, and think you're going to win them. Because it's not going to happen. The Raiders' defense did about other than the bomb they gave up to Pickens, like they got off the field on third down today. They got one sack. Like they got the ball back to the offense enough today, and they were playing a team that couldn't get out of their own way on offense for the first two games of the season. Probably one of the worst five offenses in this league. They still gave up 23, which is unacceptable, but the offense had chance over and over and over and over again. And there's an art to play calling, and being able to string together plays for your script, your opening 15 is great. You got to play for four quarters. And Josh McDaniels has not shown in 20 games with the Raiders that he can call plays for 60 minutes while being the head coach. And I've always been a big proponent of the head coach being the offensive play caller. I've always thought that was a good idea. And the more I think about it, I'm not so sure that is the way to go. I kind of want my head coach to be dialed in on everything that's going on situationally within the game, rather than worrying about the next play and the personnel group and the formation. Unless they're elite at it, which Josh McDaniels has shown as a head coach, he is not elite at. As an offensive coordinator, maybe, but not as a head coach. That if and when the Raiders do make a change, maybe go with a defensive coach this time, try to fix the defense. But the fear is you have a really good offensive coordinator, you hit a home run, and someone else hires him as a head coach. That's always the fear. But at this point, Josh McDaniels is doing himself no favor scoring 17, 10, and 18 points the first 3 weeks of the season.
The Steelers were 6 of 15 from third down, so that's a lot of stops.
They got off the field.
Sorry, six. They were 6 for 15. They were 6 for 15. So they got a lot. They got a lot of opportunities to make plays as far as that goes. But you saw the stats before the game on with a little roller coaster thing where they were talking about how putrid this offense was in Pittsburgh, and they just couldn't. I mean, it's to sit there and watch this, man. It was really bad as far as that goes. And now you're facing another team that is just going to be there athletically. I mean, shoot, they didn't even they sat a healthy J.C. Jackson today, didn't they?
He was a scratch.
He was a healthy scratch. That's just like, but they found a way to win. They got lucky a little bit with a tip. They had a tip touchdown. They had a veteran quarterback freak out and pee down his leg, I guess, down there. So I mean, they're going to be ready to go. They're going to. I mean, I don't see how early note. I'm not picking them to win this week against the Chargers. I feel bad for. I mean, you're gonna give all that revenue to the Chargers because I don't see that happening. But it's just not. It's just really. It's just tough. It's just tough football to watch, man. It's tough football to watch. I mean, like. Are we gonna go? We've been doing the show for a little bit now. Is this our fourth coaching carousel thing we're gonna do again, or is this rate coaches again?
I mean, we gave them some pretty good choices last time, GM candidates who other teams hired, by the way.
Yes,
out of the five guys that we put out there, I think four of the five got GM jobs. They're doing pretty well.
And I think a lot of those guys who made the playoffs last year, who we picked for head coaches as well too. So I know Doug Peterson and Brian Daboll did as well. So.
But we're going to come to a point, and I don't know if it'll get to this with Devontae, but like if you keep throwing hospital balls over the middle of the field, and he keeps getting his head taken off, and you're 2-7. Devontae may be like, you know what? I love being a Raider, but I'd rather stay healthy and go win a championship somewhere. And at some point, I know Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler will never trade him because they're admitting that the season's lost, but Devontae, you can't let your star receiver get his head taken off every week.
Yeah. How does that dynamic even? We'll leave it on that. As far as that goes, but it's a good conversation. How do you manage the Devontae Adams situation here if this continues to start roller coastering to 1-3, 1-4, 1-5, where it's like you're not making the playoffs? And he's still here, and he wants to. Yes, he likes opportunities in Vegas. Yes, he likes his family living in Vegas. He's doing all these CBS shows and stuff like that. But like, let's be real. He could have a house in Vegas and still go win a ring somewhere else. Like, where would be, like, I mean, like that would be the ultimate. I think that would kind of be a Mark Davis thing where he goes to Mark Davis and says, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. Do me a solid here."
Yeah, I mean, he's a professional, and he said everything the right way in Vegas, and he may want to stay. And there's a good chance he does want to stay, but at some point he's going to get injured if Jimmy keeps leading him into defensive like that. And
brutal.
I'm more looking at, Josh Jacobs had an interesting quote when he first signed this year and he came back, because he said, "I'm tired of losing. Like, all I've done is lose. I want to win." And I'm paraphrasing. It was something along those lines. It's like, money doesn't matter to me. I want to win.
Because they got
Josh
money out
Jacobs
there.
not gonna Josh Jacobs not gonna sign back with the Raiders if they win 4 games and he gets his head beat in all year.
Nope.
And what is this team going to look like next year if Devontae in the offseason says I'm out and Josh Jacobs says franchise me again, I'm not playing, or you're going to have to give me a long-term deal. I'm not coming in until like week 7 or 8. But like, Josh McDaniels needs to pull this locker room together now, because this thing, the way they haven't played well in 3 games. They beat the Broncos. They didn't play well in that game. They clearly didn't play well in Buffalo, and they did not play well tonight. So like, at some point, the coaching staff's going to have to figure this thing out and get it turned around. And Jimmy G is just going to have to stop throwing interceptions.
Dude, I mean, I'm looking at this roster, man. It's just not. It's just, and shout out to Andre James tonight. Good job, buddy. Good job. I mean, they could have. That was I thought the plan was to have Parham become the new center. Play center and like move on from this. What are we doing signing old Gruden guys? Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't.
He's one of the few.
I don't know. It's tough. All right, Raider Nation. Have a wonderful evening. We were more entertained than the Raiders were as far as that goes. But listen.
See, this is therapy and reverse psychology, because now they're going to beat the Chargers, and then they're going to beat the Packers, and then they're going to beat the Patriots, and they're going to beat the Bears, and we're going to be like, "Yep, we're 5-2." So that's what we're setting it up for.
The Chargers are actually probably the perfect team to play in this situation, because they can't, nobody mishandles prosperity better than the Chargers do. But I just kind of think that you're gonna have Jacorian Bennett covering Keenan Allen. He's gonna have 25 catches in this game, and I don't know. I think this game might be Staley proof as far as that goes. All right. We'll look at some all 22. I'm sure Ryan will go through that stuff.
There won't be many clips posted. I'll just put it that way.
We'll do whatever we can to keep it going. All right, Raider Nation. Take care.
All right, take care.